Welcome back to the Healthy Chicago podcast, where local health professionals and their guests discuss the latest public health issues affecting Chicagoans.
Welcome to this Healthy Chicago podcast. I'm Raed Mansour. I'm Director of Environmental Innovation at the Chicago Department of Public Health and one of the many co-leads in Our Roots Chicago. And I'm very excited today to introduce you to Melinda Escobar from the Morton Arboretum. Melinda.
Yes, hi. My name is Melinda. I work at the Morton Arboretum, as you know, and I'm the Tree Ambassador Program Specialist with CRTI, which is the Urban and Community Forestry Program at the Morton Arboretum.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. Really nice to have you here.
Thank you.
We're located in the North Park Village Nature Center.
In a beautiful spot.
Yes, and one of the reasons I chose this spot is because in the early 1900s, this used to be CDPH's TB sanitarium. And nature is healing, and it used to be open air cabins where people with TB, a lot of children, were exposed to nature, and one of the reasons being is so that they can take in clean air.
Yeah.
Nature is healing, and it really speaks to a lot of what we're doing with our roots. There's a lot of benefits to trees, and I always say, if trees were a vitamin, we'd all line up to take one, but maybe we can start off and talk about some of those benefits.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can start off with mental health. So thank you for inviting me to be outdoors today, because this is easing me and providing that clarity that everybody needs, being around beautiful oaks. But yeah, cleaning of the air, helping with flooding. There's just so many benefits that trees have all over the world. So
it's hard to list them all.
it is.
You know, it's public health, it's economic, it's social, and it's environmental.
Right.
They do so much. And another reason we're here, besides it being an old CDPH location, is what you're seeing behind me is a rare oak savanna. And it's rare not only in Chicago or in Illinois, but all over the world. This is something to see. This is how some of Chicago used to look. This oak savanna, where you have several oak trees, especially this beautiful oak behind me.
Yeah.
And interspersed between there, you see some grasses and then other oaks that are growing. So why are oaks important?
Oh, well, they are the kings of biodiversity. I mean, first of all, just stare at this one. It's beautiful, and you can't tell with just looking at it now, but there are about 500 to 600 different species that use this tree for food and shelter.
Wow.
So,
like what?
Yeah, I know. There's mammals, there's birds, there's lichen, there's fungi, insects. So that's why, I mean, we could go and inspect it after we're done with this and see what we find, but it's just beautiful. So yes, that is why they are the kings of biodiversity.
So that's a really good lead-in, actually. Trees are a home to a lot of species. And, you know, throughout Chicago, you know, we've had that historic redlining. And some of these injustices of underinvestment or disinvestment has led to certain neighborhoods not having trees by their home where they live. So kind of explain why it's important to have trees throughout the city in our communities.
Right. Well, I'll start off with saying having trees in your community makes it more walkable. Once it allows you to get out of the house and not be completely scorched by the hot sun. And Chicago, we do get those hot suns in the summer. So that's just one example. But yeah, now with the Tree Ambassador Program, which we're going to talk about, it's a great way to try to mitigate that and try to get more trees planted in these communities.
Yeah, the Tree Ambassador Program. So there's Our Roots Chicago,
right,
which is made up of a lot of partners it's community organizations, conservation organizations, advocates, but also the whole of government. You have CDOT, you have Streets and Sands Bureau of Forestry,
Right.
we have parks, we have the Department of Environment, Public Health. Everyone meets monthly for the last few years, and one of the things that came out of it is how do we work with, and how does the city work with community, not at or for, but together in collaboration.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
how is it that the Tree Ambassador program came about, and what is it
Yeah.
all about, if you can explain it?
What you were saying about the partnership, this is a great partnership. And this is why the Tree Ambassador program is so unique. We have partnership with the City of Chicago in all the departments you just mentioned. And then we have partnership with the Morton Arboretum. And then we have partnership with the most crucial part, which are the community groups of Chicago. The community groups that are representing, predominantly the west side and the south side of Chicago that, like you said, historically, they didn't receive the trees that they need. So they're the ones that are now advocating for their trees. And then we are just helping them do that. But they're telling us where they want their trees in their communities. And I think that is beautiful.
That is so important. They get to shape the character of their neighborhood, and they're paid, right?
Yes, they are. So they can request up to $20,000 in funding. Right now, the next round of funding is actually going to be through the Inflation Reduction Act funding, and we received $640,000 to go directly to the community groups in the Tree Ambassador program. The Morton Arboretum and Chicago Region Trees Initiative received a lot more than that, but for other projects as well. But for the Tree Ambassadors, they can receive up to $20K and 30 community groups in the city of Chicago. Again, predominantly west side, south side, in disadvantaged communities. And we have 2 community groups outside of the city of Chicago that can also apply.
Excellent. How many community organizations are in the Tree Ambassador program?
So actively, we have 14. 19 are coming in. There's a cohort coming in now. But I want to say 20 with including the pilot group that started it all. Excellent. So 20 community groups that are still out there advocating for trees.
And now you have funding for how many more?
32 more.
All right, you heard it. We really want more community-driven
Yes.
Partners that are funded for their time
Exactly.
to be in our priority communities. Are we missing some community organizations that can be in our priority communities? Is there anyone that we can really ask to contact you to apply?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we want West Garfield, West Englewood. We're looking for Brighton Park. We're looking for down in the southeast. I think we just got Riverdale, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, any community group that has a drive really, and they are in these disadvantaged communities, can reach out to me, because if they have a drive, if they want the trees in their community, I want to help.
Yeah, and what does it take? They apply.
Yeah.
They win the grant. What do you do, and what does the Bureau of Forestry and the rest of the city do with these community groups?
Yeah. So how does it work, basically, right? So the Tree Ambassador program, the community group applies to receive the grant. Once they're in, the Morton Arboretum will lead a training for them. This training is all information that the Bureau of Forestry has given us. And it will go over planting rules, how many feet away from another tree, for example, one tree to another tree, how many feet is that? That's 25 feet. So things like that we'll go over. We'll give them this resource of the knowledge that Department of Streets and Sand has given us, right? We are also going to be, the Morton Arboretum would also be administering the grant. So up to $20K. It is a reimbursable grant. They get reimbursed quarterly. And then the city, you guys provide all the resources with the tree equity working group that you guys have, the printable flyers that you guys provide as well on Our Roots Chicago.
Yeah, and one of the cool things about Tree Equity Working Group is they really set the agenda. Like, we need a website, we need information on flyers, but it's not necessary to take our flyers. I've seen some of the community flyers.
They're so good.
Kind of like really nothing against our graphic designers at the city, but you know, it's really custom. We don't really micromanage any of that, and they're really given leeway, it seems like, to do their thing within their community the best they can. What other things do they do in the community? What do tree ambassadors do?
Yeah, well, okay, so they have to lead 2 workshops per year, but this comes so natural to them. They're masters at doing this. And again, our community partners, the community engagement part, we don't really have to give them guidance on that. They're actually really good on their own. But each community, it's so great to see, each community group does things differently, and they tailor it, you're right, to their community and how they know they will be better accepted, or you know, they'll be easily open the door for to talk about trees.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, the diversity of the groups. And you would think that you have to be this like large environmental justice organization, but it's block clubs, it's
community gardens. You know, there's some like Chicago Muslim Screen Team that's faith-based, Stone Temple. I can name them all. But they're everywhere. And you know, once they have this passion that they themselves want to better their communities, and they believe in trees.
Yeah, one of the great things that came out of this is the tree ambassadors actually share their experience to the group.
Yeah.
They, you know, there's some use cases or best practices they share, and it's really interesting. They knock on doors requesting trees on behalf of the community, and they enter it into the 311 system.
Right.
And so one of the things they experience is one-on-one conversations. You see these organizations are going door to door in their communities. They are residents of their community. They are part of these community organizations. They're knocking door to door. What are some of the things that they would experience talking to another resident?
Right. You know, it's important. We go over this in our training, and we do talk about how there are people with traumatic experiences sometimes when it comes to trees. So it's important that the tree ambassadors are there to listen and engage. We don't want to force anyone to get a tree, and we don't want to be aggressive with it. We want the resident to kind of start that conversation with the tree ambassador on trees. Because once they start that conversation, it's going to lead to questions like, oh, well, why do you want a tree? You know, it's like, it's going to become so natural. And also the beauty of it, having their neighbor do it. It's like having the person in the community do it. They can talk about, for example, they can say, I was with a community group in Englewood, and they were talking about like, oh, I was here when that tree fell down on that person's car. So I know for a fact they don't want a car, but they appreciate that everybody else has trees. I mean, that they don't want a tree, I mean. But, you know, so these conversations, this knowledge, this history, it's gold. And it's something that me coming from the Morton Arboretum or you coming from the city wouldn't have.
Exactly, that on-the-ground truthing. We do use data from Morton Arboretum. Shout out to Lindsay.
Yes,
and
darling.
There are a lot of different ways to collect data on trees, but it's this on-the-ground effort.
Right.
Because even though these trees are planted only on the parkway, which are city property, we really want the residents to take care of the trees that are planted and become the advocate of the community for its many health and climate co-benefits.
We would like them to hug the tree.
Yeah, and hug the tree, of course. We want them to hug the tree. So what are the, you know, we know all the benefits. We see what works. A lot of different communities, cultures, and religions have a significance attached to the benefits of trees. But what are some of the misconceptions around trees? You mentioned, hey, a limb fell on a car. They don't want a tree anymore.
Right.
But what are some of the things that tree ambassadors hear out there?
Yeah.
And how do we address some of them?
One of the biggest one is pipes. The tree ambassadors get a lot of, no, I don't want to deal with it because they're expensive. They will eventually break my pipes. So with that, what we tell the tree ambassadors to talk about is, the tree is going to look for water. The roots are going to look for water. If your pipe is not broken, it's not going to.
So the pipe breaks, then the tree seeks the water.
Yes.
It's not
that the tree goes and
is crushing it up. It's not, and the rate of growth of those roots take years.
Yeah.
So they're not going to bust open an iron pipe.
Right. So, that's one of them, that they're dirty.
What other myths are there on trees that some of the tree ambassadors have told us that, hey, this will be beneficial?
Violence. They say that trees provide a place for people to hide and commit violence or things in that nature. But actually, that's not true.
That is an interesting. I've heard that too.
Yeah.
I've heard it in. We're not going to name cities, but it was L.A.
I'm from LA.
Sorry, a long time ago, they talked about removing the trees to have that sightline, and that's part of that racist kind of mentality of, our black and brown neighborhoods don't deserve trees. And this propagated myth, but that's changing now because everyone knows there's no research that confirms or has proven that is even true.
No, and tree-lined streets actually have less violence committed than having no trees. So.
Yeah, and we can go on and on. These are great stories provided by communities and partners. One of the things too that has been happening with tree ambassadors is, some of this pathway to green jobs is important.
Right.
So, when we talk about equity, we're talking about equitable planting, prioritizing communities, investing our resources and allocating those resources to our priority communities. So tree planting equity is one part, maintenance is another, but jobs is really important.
Right.
What are some of the pathways that are encouraged within Our Roots and Tree Ambassadors? It's almost like Tree Ambassadors this is the baseline. Start here.
It is the baseline.
Yeah.
Actually, one of our partners, Open Lands, they have their Tree Keepers program, and we encourage all tree ambassadors to join the Tree Keepers program. In that, they also have actually the Arborist program, where they can get trained and get paid to become arborists.
Yeah, it's we're both tree keepers.
Yes, we are.
Thanks, Open Lands.
Yes.
And it's interesting because from that step of tree keepers, we do have within that working group Green Corps, part of CDOT, which is also paid internships, and of course you mentioned Open Lands apprenticeship, which is also paid. So, that's a good pathway into it. So if you're not a community organization,
right.
Or you're waiting for your application, or a tree ambassador or tree keeper hasn't gotten to you yet, what else can you do to get a tree in the city?
Oh gosh. Okay, so everybody download right now Chai 311 and go and request a tree. If you have the space in front of your house, you just see grass, get a tree. Get a tree planted. It's going to benefit your kids, your grandchildren. When these kids, are bigger, 30-year-olds, this tree is going to be gorgeous and it's going to be giving them the benefits.
Calling 311.
Calling
very
311.
Easy. It used to be there was a delay in getting trees out, but they've really cleaned up and became more efficient in getting trees out after the request. Can I
tell a story?
Yes.
So on Saturday we were with Puerto Rican Cultural Center, and there was a community resident that shared a story, and it made me so happy. So he said that he had been requesting a tree for 3 years, never got it. And he said, out of nowhere, a month ago, I received a tree. Guess who put that in? Jane from Puerto Rican Cultural Center for TAP.
Awesome.
And he was so happy. He was like, thank you. I love my tree already.
Yeah, so many stories like that I hear and pictures that are shared.
Yeah.
Check out chicago.gov/our roots for more information. And then CRTI has information on the Tree Ambassador
Yes.
program, and you can there's a link on Our Roots that can take you out to there, look for partners.
Right.
The goal of Our Roots, it was set several years ago to plant 75,000 trees in 5 years.
Right.
Which, is a lot of trees.
It is a lot of trees, but you guys have been doing a great job.
Yeah, well, thanks to Forestry and CDOT,
you guys.
and the community bringing these together, and Open Lands and CRTI,
Right.
and the Nature Conservancy, and all the partners.
Yeah.
If I list them, it will take 20 minutes.
It'll take a
there
whole
are
interview.
over 180 people that are on this member list. But everyone's doing their part.
Yeah.
And but we're focusing in on these tree ambassadors, and part of it is advocacy, knocking on doors, from what I understand.
Right.
You got to do that, but it's always a numbers game
Right.
sometimes. But people want to see how well are they doing.
Well, it doesn't always have to be knocking on doors. I'll just give an example really quick. Brandy and Dana from Friends for Natural South Chicago, they like to go to events or festivals and have a sign-up sheet with, would you like a free tree? And then they go and see the house or the neighborhood, and they were like, okay, this is a perfect spot. And then they put in the request. But yes, to touch on the numbers, a couple months ago, we reached up to 3,000 tree requests. And that's a couple months ago. I haven't checked the data now, but I'm pretty sure
That's
we're
amazing. If you
Yeah.
think about that many trees going in, and just commendable by all that are involved.
It's great.
Um,
I thank the tree ambassadors.
Yeah, and we're learning too. We're starting to, take in all this information that they're gathering on the ground, and we're starting to see patterns. What do people like?
Right.
Why? And what works, as
Right.
well as what doesn't. So, yeah, very valuable. It's really a fun program. It's great to get involved. Outside of that, we bring our own kind of like backstory into it. We are residents of Chicago too, and there's certain things that our lived experience contributes to it. So, what's your favorite tree, and why?
Oh, well, I am a resident of Chicago now, but I'm originally born and raised from LA, California. So I will say mine is the giant sequoia.
I love that tree.
I mean, if you haven't seen it in person, you have to see it in person. It's majestic. It gives you so much emotion and happiness, and you just want to cry when you're in the presence. And the first day that I saw it, the first time that I saw it, I thought, oh, we're just in their world. They're actually who rules the world, and we don't.
The giant sequoia, speechless.
Have you
seen
seen
them.
it?
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
If anyone has an opportunity, they live for how many years?
Up to 4,300.
Wow. They were here.
They're fire resistant.
I saw when I
Yeah.
was hiking through
Yeah.
Sequoia National Forest, burn marks all over them.
Isn't that crazy?
It is. It's wild. My favorite tree.
Okay, yeah. What's
Because
yours?
I am an immigrant, and growing up on the South Side, there weren't a lot of trees.
What was your neighborhood?
It was in Hegwish.
Oh,
I grew up in Hegwish. Went to high school on the East Side, and life takes over,
Yeah.
and you become an adult. You have to be responsible. But I started learning more about trees, and I just love the oak tree, any kind of oak tree. And I even got one planted as a test when we were testing out the system. I made a request.
So were you the first request?
I was one of the test requests to see how the system works, so we can help improve
Okay.
tree planting in Chicago. And I got a white oak, and that is the state of Illinois tree.
Yes.
And so it's been real fun. But there's something else I heard, and I'm not really sure, like, what this is all about, but what is Oaktober?
So in 2015, actually, the governor said that October is going to be now Oaktober. And it's just to bring awareness to oaks and why they're so valuable and why we need them, you know. In Illinois, we're down to 17% of the oak ecosystem that remains. So it's very, very important to have these conversations. And at CRTI, you know, at the Morton Arboretum, we talk about oaks all year long, but specifically in October. And yeah, we just had an oak conference.
Wow.
Yeah, it's where we had a lot of partners come together and talk about oaks and what they're doing.
Oaks live like a few hundred years in the right condition.
You're right.
We purposely chose the oak savanna, which is rare.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Kind of push Oaktober, which can be a tongue twister. So Oaktober, and there is even oak saplings that are handed out. I keep hearing a lot of different organizations, even the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, really interested in stormwater runoff and flooding, trying to give these saplings. Even CRTI, right?
CRTI. We also give out saplings. Right now we're giving out saplings in the fall. We will give out saplings again in the spring. CRTI leads a lot of plantings as well in the fall and the spring. We work with municipalities to, you know, talk about trees, talk about the benefits of oaks. So yeah, we're out in the community. We're having these important conversations.
It's really exciting. All this information, we can go on for hours and hours.
We really can.
You know, we are at an old public health TB sanitarium, promoting health, promoting the environment, promoting social and economic improvement. We talked about oak savannas, Oaktober. We talked about tree ambassadors, our roots, 311.
Yeah.
What am I missing?
The Morton Arboretum.
Tell us a little bit about Chicago Region Trees Initiative and the Morton Arboretum.
So I'll start with the Morton Arboretum. We have 1,700 acres of beautiful collections and trails, hiking. So yeah, everybody.
And tree scientists.
Herbarium. We have a library. We have a children's garden. We have programs for the kids for the summer. We have so much.
It is amazing. It is a living, if I got this right, they call it a living museum.
Yes.
Contact the Arboretum if you want to know, get more information on your neighborhood Arboretum. What else do you have going on there?
Oh, we have a plant clinic, which is great. You guys can, if you're having a plant or a tree that's feeling sick or is looking sick to you, you can snap a picture and email it right over. And we have experts with way more knowledge than me that are going to answer right away and give you some of that guidance that you might be needing for your plant. We have 200 oaks at the Arb, so you guys can visit different oaks from around the world as well at the Arb.
That is
17 native oaks, but a whole bunch of different kinds as well.
Yeah, it is really an amazing experience. And it's something that we always talk about, you know, we have places to go to see nature, but one of the things we're trying to do is bring nature to people, especially outside your home and in your neighborhood and in your community. Thank you so much, Melinda. Really exciting, great chatting with you about trees and learning more about all that you do. Thank you to all our partners that make this happen. Thanks to all the departments and agencies at the city. This is not run by one or two people. This is run by a lot of folks.
That's what I tell everyone.
Yeah.
This is a partnership.
Yeah, a big partnership. A lot of partners, a lot of people that have been doing this for years. We're kind of new in this space, so they welcomed us. But the water is warm, so there's always room for more. There's never, hey, we have too many people. The more the merrier.
Yeah, the more the merrier. We need the trees. So if you're willing to get in there, come on over.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to everybody.
Thank you.
This is Raed.
Oh, Melinda.
And Melinda, and contact either of us. For Melinda for Tree Ambassadors, call 311 for your tree request, and look to our website for more information.
Yeah, and if you want more information from the Arboretum, check out mortonarb.org. And yeah, shoot me an email. I'll be happy to jump on a call with you.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
And that's our show. Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to rate and subscribe wherever you find podcasts. I'm Dr. Bora, and we'll see you next time.